moving back on to the TU program, there's been a lot of changes in their athletic department with their athletic director Rick Dickson retiring and also their SID retiring. What I wanted to get from each of you all is share with our audience, just a story. Take us behind the scenes of what it was like dealing with Rick Dixon and also Tom, those two.
Don Tomkalski. Okay, so I covered Tulsa from 2005 to 2012. I never had a chance to work with Rick Dickson, but Don Tomkalski, he was the right-hand man who I worked with the most through coaching changes, through everyday work with Tulsa. He turned out not only to be a professional person I worked with, but really one of my good friends. And I want to wish him the best. 40 years he worked at Tulsa. He was a guy who again, I consider him a close friend, and I want to wish him the very best. One of my favorite stories is one year we were down at Tulane covering a football game. It was a Friday night before a Saturday night game, and we were down on Bourbon Street. And I remember there was a group of us, like 10 of us. We were bar hopping on Bourbon Street, and it was 1:30 in the morning. We were at a bar, and out of nowhere, he goes out and buys pizza for all of us. He throws pizza in front of all, a slice of pizza in front of all of us at 1:30 in a bar. And we all asked the bartender, "Are you guys getting ready to close? Because it's 1:30." And the bartender tells us, "No, I just got here. My shift ends at 6 a.m." That was my first time on Bourbon Street. I didn't realize the bar stayed all night in Bourbon Street. And so we were there till like 3:30 in the morning. But Don Tomkowski, what a guy, and want to wish him the best. On and off the court, he really, really kept things going in that TU athletic department. He's one of those guys that TU fans really don't know who he is. But he really all sports, not just football and basketball, but all sports. And fond farewell. And Rick Dixon again. I didn't know him, but he appeared at TU an important time. And for him to come back to TU and really get things going, that was important for the school. So those two guys, they did a lot for the school, especially at a crucial time. And all my best to both of them.
As far as DT is concerned, my first memory of him was when I was uh, going back all the way back to the 80s when I was at the Tulsa Tribune and I was filling in on the TU beat, and I thought I had a really good idea for a player to do a preseason football feature on, hot prospect running back, and I was all gung ho for it, and then DT steered me in another direction. And as it turned out, the direction he steered me in turned out to be a lot better feature than I would have written otherwise. That is a big role of the SID in order to lead you in the right direction, like on player features. And he's been helping us all in the media for 40 years. Very much appreciated. And you don't really notice the SID. A good SID, you don't really notice. It's sort of like an official in a game. You don't really notice the SID unless something screws up or you're not getting that coverage. But DT, just so great for 40 years. And then Rick Dickson had such an influential stint in their early 90s, hiring Tubby Smith. And of course, he has really made such an impact the second time around. He hired Angie Nelp, who he just extended right as we went on the air today, gave a contract extension through 2030. That was a big move right there. And then he also hired Kevin Wilson as football coach and Eric Kunkel as the men's basketball coach. So he's really definitely made a big impact, besides just done a huge job as far as a huge improvement raising money for the TU athletic program.
Let me just jump in and say SID, for those who don't know, stands for Sports Information Director.
Yeah, I mean, 100% shout out DT. Helped me out a lot back, a few years ago when I was an intern with the Tulsa World and I was actually stationed in Tulsa. Helped me out with getting interviews and having some different ideas for some different stories, and has even helped me as I've been kind of abroad in Norman with some things I've written about Kevin Wilson recently, kind of relating back to his time at OU and some of the players that played for him at OU. So really appreciate everything that he's done for me in my career. And from a Rick Dixon standpoint, have never had a chance to meet Rick, but to Barry's point, it's really impressive the Kevin Wilson hire. I mean, I feel like that we're removed from it now a little bit, so we maybe don't feel the weight of it as much. And obviously last year was kind of difficult. There were some growing pains for TU in the first year of the Kevin Wilson era, but I really think that that's a statement hire, and I really think that Kevin Wilson, especially this year, as wide open as it feels like the AAC is going to be, he has an opportunity here to get TU football playing back to what its standards should be. So excited to see that, and Rick Dickson is a big part of that.